What's up guys, Eric Vasquez here with a brand new video tutorial for you today as part of our Design Basics video series. Now in this lesson we're going to be talking all about balance. So how to achieve balance and harmony in your designs visually. Now it's a very important lesson and something that a lot of designers struggle with, whether they're starting out or sometimes even, intermediate or advanced designers as well. Now it's a lesson that I want to bring to you guys because I think that it will really help you level up your designs. So to do this, we're going to be working in Photoshop today, and we'll be using a really cool bundle from the Design Cuts Marketplace that I can't wait to share with you guys. So let's get right into it. Now, as I mentioned, we'll be working with the Eco Food Mockup Creator from Dmitry Mankoff, which you guys can get over at the Marketplace. And it's got a lot of these great mockup generator elements that you can use, especially for, any kind of baked goods or food packaging and that sort of stuff. It's a really fun thing to work with. So to get started, let's just go ahead and make a new document. Now, as I touched on earlier, I just want to talk about a few of the different ways that you can bring balance and harmony to your work whenever you're creating some type of a layout or really any kind of design in Photoshop, Illustrator, or your program of choice. Alright, so I'm just going to maybe change this to, say, an 8.5 by 11 letter size kind of layout. And I'm just going to move that to the side for a second so that I can see some of these other elements that we have here. Now I'm just going to start grabbing a few of these things to kind of bring in here. Maybe we'll grab this bar of chocolate. Alright, we can drag that over here to our document. Alright, and then let's go ahead and maybe grab some of these other things too. I'll grab one of these bags or even this box here. Grab box 1. And then let's also go ahead and grab maybe one of these napkins. All right, it doesn't, really matter. You don't have to use the exact same things that I'm using here. This is just to get a couple of objects into our layout here so that I can begin kind of showing you guys what I'm talking about. All right, and I'll grab this coffee cup. Oops. Grab the coffee cup, bring it over here. All right, so now we're just looking at this layout here that I have in Photoshop. And you can see that we've just got about 4 elements that are all kind of competing because right now they're equal in size. So whenever we're talking about, balance and imbalance, you want to think about things like scale and the relationship of these objects to one another. So if I just turn off these other objects for a second here, and let's say I move my coffee cup like somewhere over to the right here. I've got my chocolate right here, and then I've got this box, right? Right now, this design is not feeling very balanced at all because, again, all the objects are pretty much the same size. Now, they may be overlapping each other, which is kind of interesting, but there's really no harmony between these things. So one of the ways that we can fix that is what I like to do is just kind of start with the main object that I want to be the focal point. So in this case, let's say that it's this box. One of the ways that you can kind of bring balance and harmony to your design is by having sort of a hierarchy as far as the size and relationship of these elements. Make this coffee cup maybe a little bit smaller and move it up here to the top right. I'll want to move this napkin down here below the box, maybe shrink it down a little bit, even rotate it, all right, just to make it feel sort of less important actually than the box itself because that's really what we want to stand out. And then I'll take this chocolate bar, move it on top of the napkin here, and maybe just kind of rotate it a little bit, make it a little bit larger. Okay, and you can see just by beginning to tweak with these things, it's starting to feel a little bit more balanced. If you do want it to feel more balanced, it doesn't have to necessarily be symmetrical. We just want to have sort of a, visually pleasing, equal distribution of things in our layout. All right, so if I was only working with 3 elements now, I could achieve that same type of balance just by moving things around and playing around with the scale, maybe rotating things a little bit. You can still have things overlapping like this, all right, but you can see, depending on where I place this, it's going to feel very imbalanced or balanced. So for example, if this element is over here, again, it sort of feels kind of, actually, this one doesn't feel so bad. This actually does feel kind of balanced because of this negative space that we have here in the lower left. Depending on the size and the placement of these elements, you can begin to see how you can make things feel balanced. Now again, if everything is the same size, right, if I scale this down, move it over here, even if these things are scattered throughout the design, it doesn't feel very balanced right now because, well, one, there's an odd number of objects, and two, you're not really quite sure where you should look. Now, if you do want to achieve balance in your design, you have to really play around with the size and positioning of things within the space. All right, so like I mentioned earlier on, it's all about the relationships of these objects to one another. I just want to show you how, even if we're working with two elements here, how you can still achieve a certain level of balance. Right now, these things feel sort of balanced because they are equal in size, but they're both kind of pulling from opposite corners, and that's creating a nice tension in our design that does actually achieve balance. And turning the napkin on and off, maybe it changes the feel of it a little bit, but if you wanted something to feel very imbalanced, you would sort of place everything in one place, or you would make everything, very close to the same size. Again, it's really all about experimenting to achieve that balance in your design. But what's tricky about this lesson is that there is no, formula for exactly how to do it. It's one of those things that you just sort of have to, train your eye and practice in order to achieve. Right? It comes easier to some, but even in this type of layout, you can see because we have these nice diagonals happening in the corner from the napkin and the box and the lines from the chocolate bar, it still feels very balanced. All right, but if I move this like this, say I take out the napkin, maybe the bar of chocolate is on top of this box, somewhere like that. And then I put the coffee cup over here. Well, that doesn't really feel so balanced anymore, right? But it's all about that equal distribution, making things feel, nice and comfortable, and giving the eye some place to rest. Right? So even here, even though the top corner is a little bit larger, if I just make these elements on the bottom slightly larger now, even this begins to feel a little bit more balanced. So you can kind of see how this works, hopefully. But if you only have, say, one element in your design, it's going to be a lot easier to achieve balance. When it really becomes difficult is when you start working with multiple objects in the same design, whether it's multiple shapes, patterns, textures, even objects, or in some cases, if you're working on a composited image like this, you want to start to think about how you can make all these things work together. Right, so let's say we just have a napkin and a chocolate bar, right? Just like this. Feels pretty balanced because we still have that interest pulling and creating some tension, right? This still feels balanced, but if all of a sudden I bring this box in here, it's kind of intruding and creeping into our image a little bit, which kind of takes away from that. Okay, so that's where it begins to become increasingly important to experiment with the layout. Right, so even if you're doing, say, an editorial design for a magazine and you're trying to achieve balance with your text and your photos, you really want to keep playing around with it. So let's say, for example, I just added a little text box over here. I'll just come up to type and fill it with some lorem ipsum. And that's just some dummy text that we're going to be using here. And then I'll just change it to black. Maybe decrease the letter spacing there a little bit. It's a little bit too large. You can center it. All right, so now we have text in here too, and that tends to complicate things a little bit because now not only are we trying to achieve balance with the visual elements that we have here, we're also trying to strike that balance and that harmony with our text included in this layout. So how can we do that? Well, if you just have, your cup of coffee, again, say right in the middle, you have your text nice and lined up. I mean, that feels pretty balanced. So in this case, the balance is sort of about the alignment of the elements, right? The way that they're arranged, the way that they, look, the way that they feel. Okay, and again, it's that relationship between these things that are going to help. Okay, so here I'm kind of scaling it down. Maybe I can move the napkin underneath. And if I take that box out, this starts to feel a little bit less balanced because now your eye is being pulled into this top right corner here, right? Like unlike before, where when we didn't have these things on, it felt a little bit more visually pleasing. Not only because we have some of that negative space, we have a little bit more breathing room, but this just feels a lot more harmonious and balanced. All right, so in some cases, you may be given a brief, for example, where you have to incorporate certain elements. And that's when it's really going to come in handy for you guys to know how to kind of position these things and get everything in there that you need to get in there and still have it feel visually pleasing, right? That's a big lesson in, visual design. And it's something, like I said, that can't easily be taught. It's something that you have to understand first and then put it into practice. So now this begins to feel more balanced. Again, we're sort of using these diagonals here to create a bit of energy, and that creates some tension with these other elements that are nice and aligned. So hopefully you guys can start to see how this works and start to put it into practice with your own designs and your own work and layouts and everything like that. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed today's video. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. And if you did enjoy the video, be sure to smash that like button, give us a big thumbs up, and subscribe to the Design Cuts YouTube channel. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Eric Vasquez here with Design Cuts, and we'll see you next time.